Hi, this is the Bull Moose. Sorry I haven't made a video in the last year. Planned on doing an actually long, halfway decent video this week, but when I got home from work, something caught my attention. I was tired, so I sat down, checked my subscription feed on YouTube, and saw one of Sargon of Akkad's recent videos. I don't remember the title of it on hand, but when I edit this later, I can put up the thumbnail or a screenshot. You'll know what it is. And in it, he makes the case, or at least he tries to make the case for regulation of internet-based companies and social media companies like Facebook and Twitter and the like. And this didn't necessarily catch me off guard because it's not far off from what he's been saying as of late, but it touched a nerve. Because I've watched Sargon for the last 3 years now. On most issues I agree with him on it. He and I, based off of all the various political compass tests and whatnot, we seem to share most values. We differ on various things, but that's beside the point. In his last few videos, he's talked about and advocated for government regulation of the internet and some sort of online Bill of Rights. Well, but this time last year, in the at MythCon, in the Thomas Smith thing, he said, quoting verbatim here, I'm not 100% sure on the exact wording, but this was essentially what he said. Everything in real life is more important than what's on Twitter. And the last month, most of his videos, he was advocating against government regulation of the internet, with the European Union and the recent Articles 11 and 13, I think they were. Could be wrong on that. He was advocating hardly against government regulation of the internet, and now, 1 month later, he's advocating in favor of it. I hate to be click-baity and shit with the title, so I'll explain that later, but this is hypocrisy on its basest level. It's like, only regulate the people who are opposed to you? What the hell? You didn't like it when the prospect of regulation was going to be against you, so why would you like it if it was against someone else? And the quote-unquote censorship issue against Alex Jones and Gavin McInnes, well, honestly, it's not censorship because you can go anywhere else. They can go anywhere else and say the same things. Hell, they already have. It's pretty easy to bypass it. All you gotta do is go to a different website or go into the real world. That's not even getting into the whole issue of just the concept of allowing government regulation on this issue. Once you set the precedent that the government can have a say in what's going on the internet, more so than what they do now with piracy and whatnot, it won't be long before that's used against you. So right now, you're advocating for censorship, or not censorship, I shouldn't say that. It's not even accurate. You're advocating for massive amounts of regulation on social media companies like Twitter and Facebook and what are the other ones? Whatever. Mass amounts of regulation on these companies to quote-unquote guarantee the open platform. Well, next thing that's going to happen after that is they're going to regulate what you can and can't say in this open platform. And if you want evidence for that, just look at Speaker's Circle in Speaker's Corner, I should say, Hyde Park in London. Supposedly you're allowed to say whatever you want there, but it's been repeatedly shown that the London police will shut you up. Maybe not forcefully, but they'll make it so that you're uncomfortable being there. Here in the United States, most campuses, they used to be this place where anyone could speak their mind. No one would chastise them or harm them in any way. Well, now, if you don't hold the right opinion, you're fucked. You'll get your ass handed to you. Literally and figuratively. You wear the wrong hat, someone's going to throw a brick at you. And it's not good. Let's just put it that way. As soon as you allow the government to have that kind of power, they will take advantage of it and use it and use it and abuse it. Until eventually they have a complete stranglehold around you and you can't do anything about it. And I talked about the hypocrisy in Sargon, advocating for this earlier. And it's not the first time, it seems. In the past, Sargon is on record for saying that he would never require some form of payment or financial need to get access to it. Well, this changed completely in the last couple of months because you try emailing the man, he never responds to him. He has set up Patreon tiers to where you have to pay at least $5 a month in order to be able to talk to him at all. And $20 a month if you want to make it a good conversation. So, it's not like he's keeping his word on these things. He's on record for saying he would never enter politics. But that's quite clearly changed. One minute he's saying he'd never enter politics, he'd never run for political office or anything like that. Well, the first sign of that changing was when he set up the Liberalist deal. Which I'm a member of the Liberalist Facebook group. I enjoy it quite a bit. It gets a lot of laughs from me. Next thing you know, he's joining UKIP and pushing for everyone else to do the same. And now he's helping write the UKIP manifesto. What's next? You're going to run for the MP of South Swindon? So you're not keeping your word here. You're doing the opposite of what you said you would do. And it's troubling, to keep it simple. It's troubling. And these drastic changes in temperament and behavior and the way he releases content to where it's no longer fun and games at all. It's just these, not to say ultimatums, but these sort of, if you're not with me, you're against me sort of things. He hasn't actually said that, but that's the way it comes across. It's reminding me of Thunderfoot last year when he said, "I'm done with the skeptics" and all that crap. It's reminding me of that and how he was just bitter and refusing to take any sort of criticism into account. And not to say that Sargon's doing that, it's just these massive changes in behavior, it's looking like that might happen at some point. And not to denigrate him as a person, but because Sargon does seem and appear to be a good-natured person with solid principles. He just seems like he's slipping from the pedestal that his subscribers, including myself, have thrust him upon. He's got all this responsibility of making sure he's making good content and trying to make sure that he still has a place on the internet, that he won't be pushed off at any time. And so he feels that he needs to take what's on the internet into the real world, which I can understand, but he's been put on this pedestal that is wobbly to begin with, and now it looks like he's slipping, almost like someone's poured oil onto the base of it. I just worry that the path we're going down here with the government regulation, you've said it yourself, Sargon. American people and English people have very different values when it comes to the placement the government has in an individual's life. Americans definitely see the government as a necessary evil that should do the minimum amount necessary to maintain our way of life. Whereas English individuals, they hold a greater reliance on government intervention. That's why, after countless tries, a universal health care system hasn't been able to pass, because Americans see that as almost being a sort of slave to the government, relying on them to take care of you. So, I'll just say this. Because of these differences in values, I don't expect you to change your ways anytime soon. I don't expect you to reverse this path you're on, but I suppose the term excessive pragmatism would best fit the old phrase, hope for the best but expect the worst, because that's how I'm at right now. I'm gonna stick with my principles and be excessively pragmatic when it comes to making sure they're applied, because the path you're going on is not one I will follow any further. So, to reference The Wizard of Oz, this isn't the yellow brick road. You won't find your way back home by following it, Sargon. I want you to keep that in mind. So I'll continue to watch your videos, but if you keep going down this road of government regulation and these changes in temperament and behavior, I won't support you anymore. And if it continues after that, then you may well lose a follower altogether. Good night.